Good morning. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. You are on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. This is the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vickie Helm, and I'm so glad you've joined us today. It is brought to you by the Metadine Digital Network, where you can see shows that matter, that help you live your thrivability in this world. We go live Monday through Friday. We share tips, tools, techniques, inspiration, motivation, and all kinds of inspiration, all kinds. But today, we're going to go down the rabbit hole, and we are going to invite you down with us. If you're new here, do me a favor, put your name down below. We'd like to see you. I want to welcome you on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, whatever you're listening on, Pandora Radio. Welcome. So glad you're here with us today as well. Today, I have a temptation. Temptations were a band in the 60s, for those of you who don't know, but the Temptations, this song, Ball of Confusion, is running through my head. You know, people looking up, people looking out. Yeah. So we're taking a look at our ball of confusion, which is the earth today. Some interesting things happened that shouldn't have happened. I'm wondering why they happened or how they happened or whatever is happening is showing up. So I'm looking at all the financial markets. I like to keep up to date with them, obviously, for what's happening in the world today. But there's some things that are they don't go together. And how is it happening? So today I started looking, okay, Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies is on an upswing. It's roaring up. This year, Bitcoin is up $12,000 over the last year, $12,000 over that time. And I'm happy for that. I'm making money, and that's all great and good. I like that. And thank you. And then I looked at the stock market today. It set a new record at 30K. For the first time in history, our market is, I think it was like some 7,000 in 2008. Now we're looking at it and tap 30K. And you're wondering, why is that? How can that happen? And why I'm wondering, how did it hit 30K when our GDP dropped 32.9% this year and is the lowest since the Great Depression? How does that happen? How does our stock market get up here when our GDP is negative 32.9%? It's lower than it was in the Great Depression. How is that happening? What are we not seeing? What are we not noticing? And so today I kind of did a little hunt, and I thought to myself, okay, what did the news say? Well, the news says there's optimism. There's optimism because there's going to be a smooth transition of power between the powers that be in the White House and how they're moving in that direction. And also there is optimism because we are close to a vaccine cover. But if you look, I don't believe there's optimism in the way that they're reporting it. I just don't see it. I see people's businesses closing at an alarming rate, and that people's small businesses it's like they're being under attack again. It's the second wave of the attack that is happening. They're closing down. People can't. And we're talking major businesses. Yesterday, my mom sent me an article, 53 restaurants that are going out of business. Some of the biggest names that are on the chopping block, Qdoba, Chipotle, Taco Bell, those things that we eat every day. There is so much massacre going on. I do not see where the optimism is coming from. The optimism, I think, is that this smooth transition in this new presidency means that we're going to see stimulus for big banks, big businesses, big everything. Very little of it is going to hit the underneath here. It's going to be just like the last stimulus. Some companies that made multi-millions went ahead and got stimulus anyway. So how is it that these are true, real numbers? And that's the thing. It's like when we see optimism to me, it can be a state of mind. And I like being optimistic. I do. I think that's super, super important. But I also like to be truthful in my reporting. And right now it looks like the books are being cooked at a big company. The books are being cooked to make it look like 30K and everything is fine and we're doing really well. But haven't we been quantitative easing our stock market for a decade now? And how's that working for us? How's that doing for us? It's like when we take a look at our future, we have to stop looking at sensationalism, whether it's really sensational headlines and whether it's negative or positive sensationalized headlines. The thing today that people are thinking is, I made money. But to me, the stock market, it just doesn't make sense. I like this right here. Thank you very much. We're going to pop over and say good morning. Woohoo! Bitcoin is up and running. I like this. Stock market is 30,000. What? That doesn't even go together, those two things. And as we look around at our false optimism, we don't have the ability then to make real plans to get the stock market back to where it's really doing something, because we have sensationalism and false positives, false negatives as well. It's just, there's kind of this falseness in reporting. GDP lowest since Great Depression and the stock market up. Big incongruency there. You got that right. And that's the issue for me. How can those two things happen at the same time? And so, I'm looking at gold. Gold is still really high. It's still at 18 and only dropped 1% after we hit that record. What do people know that the news media and other medias think we don't know? What do we actually really know? Those drops and increases don't make sense. Yes, it's illogical to say the least. So we're going to, QE is quantitative easing. For those of you who don't know it, it's a monetary policy whereby a central bank buys government bonds, toxic assets or other financial assets, in order to inject money into the economy to expand economic activity. An unconventional form of monetary policy. It is usually used when inflation is very low or negative, and when the standard expansionary monetary policy has been ineffective. Yes. How is that happening? Yes, this makes zero sense. Thank you for being with me, Lisa. Thank you for staying on topic with me. This is the thing. If GDP fell 32.9%, so lowest since the Great Depression, how is it that we are stimulus and optimistically? I know a lot surrounds the COVID-19 vaccine, the possibility of that. So how is it that we are coming through this mess with these opposite stories? I don't believe the story there. I've seen a lot of restaurants already down, a lot of retail stores out of business. Some of the oldest names in retail gone forever. And we are looking at how this is optimistic. Hey, nice to see you, MJ. So glad you're here. This is, isn't this what's happening in the mortgage crisis? That's interesting. That's interesting to say that, because I'm going to say that that's true. There was a lot of how great the market was when it began collapsing. There it is. Here's what I want to talk about right there. MJ, this is why I just absolutely adore you. This woman really knows finance that well. And she's like, we are living in a false economy. And that is dangerous if you believe the narratives, both narratives, the sensationalized optimism or the sensationalized pessimism. Now, here's the truth from me. For me, I see that we are moving into a completely new money system, a new economy. And the reason Bitcoin is soaring is because those people who know that the narrative is not true are moving from this narrative to the narrative that will be. You are living in a false economy. We all are. And in that false economy, there are things that have made our markets false. Now, there are a lot of people right now, a lot of people that are going, yes, I'm making a lot of money, but you're making a lot of worthless money. Every time that we borrow from the credit card to make the stock market stable or businesses stable, who do you think is going to pay for that? It's like all your money that you are earning from this false stock market is going to be paying for stuff later. We're responsible for the debt that's happening. And right now the debt is so big, we can't even pay it. Our GDP, the way we make stuff to make money, fell to the lowest since, 1928, 1929, the great crash? And if it's fallen that low, I want to give everybody a time right now to be able to say, how can I get out of this? How can I make this better for me? What can I do? Because right now we're living in the land of pretend. The emperor has new clothes when he really doesn't. So, like this, wow, this is incredible information you're giving. Thank you very much. But I'm not trying to give you information. I'm trying to share a warning. I'm trying to share a warning that something's afoot. If you get to the point where your stock market is breaking records, but your GDP is dropped below records, historical lows, then something ain't right. And when you look at the possibility of there being a lockdown, and I'm like, so many people are traveling this November, so there's going to be even more. If we take a look at our hospitals right now, look around the world, other countries are already on lockdown. Canada's got, places on lockdown. If we get to the point where we're in lockdown again, how is it that our market can stay up to these? Who's supporting that? What is it? Money, fake money, more printed money is being fused into that market to keep it up, to make it look like it's not as bad as it is. And girlfriends, boyfriends, I got to tell you right now, you do not want to be buffaloed. If you're buffaloed right now, I want you to take a look at countries like Argentina. So in Argentina, every single millionaire who made all their money, millions and millions and millions of their currency dollars, when that money expired and it became worthless, so did their millions. They went from working so hard to get everything they wanted to nothing. And then they had to rebuild again. And it happened twice there. And we're looking at Venezuela. It happened. It's happened so many times. If you think that our money can't rot and be worthless like other countries, well, it can. And that's on the horizon. The more debt we put in, the more stimulus we put in, it's borrowing from a credit card. Why? Because our GDP is no longer keeping up with the amount of money we have to borrow in order to make our country function. And this is something that everybody has to be very aware of, not because it's like another thing on top of the other thing. It's so that you can do something now. What you do now will enable you to either sink into poverty or swim into prosperity. Those are pretty much the only two places. The middle class is shrinking, 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 and your only choice is to become wealthier or poorer. And what you do now determines whether you're going to become wealthier and jump up, or sink and become poor and be part of that bottom rung. This is so important to understand right now. And I know you're like, well, this is a Thanksgiving bummer. Yes, but if you do something now, you'll have a Thanksgiving gratitude later. So you're thinking, okay, well, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Well, that's good, because I want you to know on Friday, we're going to talk about one of the things you can do. The whole show is going to be dedicated to a book I'm reading that I think everybody should be reading. I want to pop over here for a second. Yes, Lisa, I'm with you. It's indicative of all the smaller mom and pop stores that have been already closed. So devastating to thousands of families. Yes, some people don't even know how they're going to make their rent. And right now we're pretending that we can get ahead using dollars. We can't. I think long-term dollars are going to be, I think fiat currencies, just fiat currencies all around the world are going to be part of what I call the false economy, because I love that word. And this is it right here. False economy, fake news, debt, and sheeple. That's kind of the problem. You want to move out of that false economy into the real new economy that's coming, and go ahead and see how that's happening. But the first thing you have to do is wake up. And here's how you wake up. If the market just set a record while our GDP just bottomed out to 1928 or 1929 levels and is barely creeping back because our COVID has gotten worse, they're starting to shut businesses down again. They're starting that whole process. There is no way that this is the roaring economy that is told to us. It's like, okay, it's optimism. That's great. Optimism is great. That's like starting a business and saying, One day we're going to make millions. Well, yes, but right now you're not. You got to do the things that actually help make you millions. And that's our GDP. And we aren't doing that. We're closing that. If that's being closed, can you see how the future is going to be just a little stymied? So I know that everybody's got the promise of the vaccine right now. Yes, that vaccine will come up and we'll start to rev up. Great, we'll start to rev up. But so many things have been destroyed that rev up is startup. We're not revving up the things that are there. We'd have to start all over again. So here we go. How can we have major unemployment, a rising stock market, and a hyper deficit? Think about that. Thank you for this. I love this, MJ. How can we have major unemployment, a rising stock market, and hyper deficit? And that's that borrowing that money over and over again. And here's the thing. And it's interesting because these two posts came both at the same time at 11:11 a.m. One said Greece, and one said, how can we have a major unemployment, a rising stock market, and hyper deficit? This is just amazing. So fiat is going to decimate America. And this is what I want to say. There are ways and things that you can do right now. I mean, right now is the most perfect time, I think. And I've invested more. I'm going to tell you what I do. I invested more in cryptos. I put a bunch of money in there. It's on the rise because I don't think we have much longer of this fiat market. Is this Peter? Is this the famous Peter? Hi. If it is, hey, Peter, nice to see you on, my friend. Glad you're with us. Yes, and this is already happening. I know it's Peter now because, yes, so true. That's Peter. He talks like that. Hey, man, it's nice to see you. Let's see. A promise of the 3 on the horizon right now. Now, I want to say, I know there's a lot of optimism about this new power that is going to be transferred peacefully. And, okay, I'm okay with that. I like peaceful transfers of power. And I know that Biden is very pro more deficit spending, and that 3 or 4 trillion. How many times can you do that before our dollar is worthless? I do want to tell you something I read, though. This is very important for people to understand. The actual cash coins, real money, real paper money, is only 10%. Everything else that's being done is digital, literally digital. So having cash and coin may stretch you for a little while, but eventually this new monetary system is actually going to hit its highs. And right now Bitcoin is tapping its record. It's at 19 something this morning, 19.3, 19.4, and it has a little over 28,000 to go before it breaks the record. So our stock market would break the record and Bitcoin would break its record. Now I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what is there. It's like one of these two things is engineered. And I will tell you, Bitcoin is the people's money. It's not engineered. That's just my opinion right there. Yes, it's Peter. Of course it's Peter. Nice to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. I want you to know, I literally have my coffee logic right here. This is it. I love it. I will not live without it. If you guys want to know more about what coffee logic is, just give me an IM and I'll send you a link. Hi, is crypto the same as Bitcoin? Yes, they're cryptocurrencies. They're digital assets. There's a couple of books you can read on that. And I know that you asked me to do a cryptocurrency talk on this. And so I'm going to be doing that on Friday, actually. Thank you. You're so wonderful. So glad to see you. Hey, Few, nice to see you on. Thanks for being with us on the show. Facebook user says, I'm not sure the vax is the panacea, whereas holding corruption accountable will insert the faith and trust in a new system to begin creating anew. I totally agree with this. I'm not sure who this is, but I really like it. So this corruption, holding corruption accountable, you can see right now, if there's GDP down and the market's up, I don't know that it's corruption, because it might be legal to do, but it's not smart to do. And that's the difference right now. We are just drowning and will be drowning in debt. So that's a good observation, Ryan. No vaccine is a panacea. Hey, Ryan, nice to see you. Anna just popped on. Nice to see you, girlfriend. This is so important. That's a good observation, Ryan. No vaccine is a panacea. In the distance, the distrust of the system is at an all-time high. Greater than 46% of the states say they do not want to get the vaccine, that's going to be something. We're going to have the Bitcoin conversation on Friday. That's after the holiday. And it is Ryan, of course. Thank you, Ryan. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Vickie and community. And I know this is Anna. I love that little red heart. Hi, Anna. Thank you for being here, loves. Okay, let's see. I'm not a coffee drinker without Bailey's. But Coffee Logic is a fave. Messenger Vickie for details. Thank you. Coffee Logic does really good things for your brain and your body. I really like it. So I am drinking only 1 cup of coffee a day now. I'm back to my coffee love. And all I can say is, I love this stuff. It's really good. So what I want to say to you right now is what you're going to learn, or what you're going to do now. There's 3 things that you really have to know. The first is that you're living in a false economy. And if you're living in a false economy and you understand accounting in any kind of way, right now, let's say it's the Success Secrets company, and all of you, we work at the company, and we've done nothing really. But what we've done is we borrowed a lot of money. We have borrowed so much money, we don't even know what to do. And I, as the CEO, come up and I'm having a meeting with the board of directors, which is you. And I say, well, we're really up today. We made $30,000. And you look at the report and you say, how did we make $30,000 if our sales have fell by 32.9%? Where's the profit? How do we make that profit if we fell by 32.9%? That's kind of what it is, why we, the people, and our board of directors, being the government, saying to us, we've made $30,000, and we're sitting at the board and going, but all these stores are bankrupt. There's riots in the streets, and all these places are closing because of the pandemic. Where's the profit coming from? And so somewhere along the way, somebody gets brave and say, did the profit come because we borrowed money? Or are we borrowing optimism? I mean, let me just go ask you to go to the store right now and go, hi, I'd like to buy some bread, eggs, and milk on Optimism. And we'll just put it on my Optimism debt and move it over there. We have to get real about income and debt ratios. We have to get real about what's happening in the future. We have to get real about what's going to be there in 10 years and another 10 years after that. And so a lot of times we can think nothing will break our system. You're right. Nothing will break our system. We're breaking our system by ourselves. If we're doing it, we keep taking debt out to support a false stock market so that our hopes and our optimism during our Christmas season look so sunny and sky-ridden, you'll spend a little bit more money while you're Christmas shopping. So we're living in a false economy. That's the first thing that you have to know. The second thing you have to know about our false economy is that middle America, or middle income people around the world, it doesn't matter whether you're in England and Australia and India, middle class is shrinking. And it's shrinking at an alarming rate because middle-class people have the most small businesses. They have the most small businesses that are the local businesses that you buy or you shop or you eat at or you get a book from. Those businesses right now, they are collapsing at an alarming rate because they're non-essential. And so at that non-essential rate where Costco can be open, but don't let the health food store down the street be open, because Costco is essential, but not the health food store. I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. That's just reporting. Don't shoot the messenger. That middle income is what the world depends on. That middle income, that small business owner, that's what the world was built on. The whole world was built on small business. It wasn't built on these ginormous companies. And right now they're shrinking. And there's only two ways you can go. You can sink into poverty or you can swim to prosperity. But either way, your only choices are sink or swim. And we have to get that swim going. That's the next thing. And the third thing that you have to know is there is a new monetary system that is beginning to grow, and literally nothing can stop it. There isn't anything that's going to come by and, capsize this new system from coming in. It has already been tried to be on the chopping block, but right now, some of the biggest financial firms like Fidelity and Goldman Sachs and just the biggest companies in the world right now are investing millions and millions and millions in it. You want to follow where the money is being spent. And right now, while your dollars are worth something, because they're not going to be worth something forever. But while your dollars are worth something, you want to invest them in something that's going to help you create more stability, more prosperity, and more advancement in your financial situation. And then the added bonus, I think the best thing we can do right now is look at how many cash flows can you grow? Not how many businesses can you start, how many cash flows that you can grow. And we're going to talk about that on Friday when we come back. I'll do the Bitcoin thing, or I'm going to say, cryptocurrency, because it's a revolution that's happening right now. The cryptocurrency there's so much happening. There's so much about the blockchain and everything else. And I want to tell you, even though you're hearing it here, the best thing you can do is read the books and educate yourself. And I'll pull out a few books that I've read and hold them up and say, read this, or I think this is good, or, you can go here and learn some, but educating yourself about this now is going to be really important. Let's see. Boom. Vickie's only drinking 1 cup of coffee a day. Of course, it's a 64-ounce mug. It's really true. It is my 64-ounce mug of coffee. Thank you. But I just agree with Robin. Shh, don't tell anybody it's a 64-ounce mug. Here we go. When are we going to turn it around? I don't know that that's going to happen. I know that you have to turn it around. You need to become your own bank. You need to become your own investment bank as well. So Karen Sachs, only 1/4 keg of coffee. Thank you, guys. It's got to be Ryan. I don't think it can happen until people have faith in our justice system to be equal and not two-tiered. Yes, thank you for that. I don't know who did that because it just says Facebook user, but wow, that's really true for me. The world was built on the backs of small business owners. That's right. And they're getting crushed right now. Crushed. It's hard to see that as well. Don't know that we have ever seen, Ryan, sounds wonderful, utopian almost. Not sure what that was, but okay. Most people don't know when you transfer money from country to country, you are not moving actual money. It's all digital. That's correct. That's absolutely correct. I mean, the actual amount of cash that exists in society, the dollars that you put in your wallet that you walk around with sometimes, those are all, that's only 10% of the money, 10%. And that's like nothing. So let's see. Robin Helm, isn't it a shame that equal enforcement of the law seems like a utopia? Yeah, that's true. That is a shame. It's so unfortunate. I've been wondering if I should sell my house and buy cryptocurrency Bitcoin and get something smaller before my real estate crashes and won't be worth anything. That's a good question to ask yourself. I mean, do you get a sense of what you think you should do? Don't logic yourself out of it. I mean, just educate yourself first before you do anything. You got to do your own research. I wouldn't make a move based on, one talk on a podcast. I'd go dig into it and say, well, if this is going to happen and this is going to happen, then what's the best way to do it? And so Friday, we'll be talking about some of the things that I've done. True small business owners built this country. Pre-pandemic small business still ran the country, yes. But right now, this pandemic economy we have is making it so we have to think for ourselves. We're in a false economy. There is no way we can live on optimism or the market being high because of a vaccine. That just doesn't make sense. Our market should reflect our GDP, and our GDP is down right now. So let's see. Yes, I totally agree. I like to think of myself as a possibilitarian optimist, but I was blessed to be born in the USA as a middle-class white woman. I'd be ignorant to think everyone is treated equally. Yes, that's even tough for me to hear. It hurts so much. Woo, that's a great question, Susie. Got to check in with that feeling. Follow your gut. Yeah, follow your education too. Follow your gut and follow your education. Do your research. I love my Logic coffee every day. I use it the same cup size as Vickie. Oh, God, that's so good. Let me just tell you that absolutely everyone will benefit by drinking a large cup of coffee. Hey, Janima's on. Hello, sister. How are you? I'm hugging you. I got your message, and I'm up for all three, whatever you decide to do. Great information, Vickie. Thank you very much, you guys. So I want to let you know what's important to be grateful for. To be grateful for something before Thanksgiving is always a tradition in America. So I want you to be grateful for this. I want you to be grateful that you live in a country that has a lot of opportunities wherever you are. I want you to think about and have, and I know I'm grateful for, the ability to have all the information at my fingertips. Now, hundreds of years ago, if you wanted to know something, it just wasn't at your fingertips. Right now, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to know, wherever you want to go is at your fingertips. You can look at a country to visit. If you're on the internet, you can do anything right now. There's so much information. But part of that is that we have an infodemic. And in that infodemic, we have good information, false information, and marginal information. And you're going to put the hat on and say, I'm grateful that I have discernment. So whatever you do before you decide to sell it, buy it, grow it, do your own research. Get out there and say and look and see what it is that you want. You can still have the life you want. You really can. There are so many exciting things. There's so many exciting things to feel optimistic about, especially about our future. But when you get to the point where the stock markets are reaching for really high highs, when we have really low lows, especially the disconnect. If you see a disconnect, don't believe it, observe it, witness it, study it. Why is it disconnected? And if you do, there's a boatload of information you can have, a boatload of information that you can find out right now. You're all thinking just because, how does that happen? Where is that 30,000 in that stock market coming from? It's just an optimistic point of view that is raising our stock market. And that way you're educated, and the next step you take will be the best one for you when you're looking at and being educated on it. I'm just going to pop over here just a couple of seconds. The biggest challenge for most of us, I believe, is being born in the system and completely separated from it to be entirely independent of it. You still can be. You can still do that. And that's a big conversation, but we may have to be having that conversation. I'm so grateful I started watching the Coffee Break Chill with you. Thank you, man. Thank you. Susie, that's just a lovely compliment. Let's see, right here. I'm so grateful to have traveled the world and have so many friends. Yes, me too. I'm really grateful for that, because you can go to a lot of places, and thank you. Personally, I have to remember the bold step made to go out on my own, separating myself from the system, to evolve people in business, to go beyond the antiquated system. Yes. I want to tell you your greatest venture right now, and I think this is Ryan who said that, is that going beyond the antiquated system, and trust your gut. Trust your gut, Ryan. Go beyond the antiquated system. The bridge has already been built. You just have to go beyond there and take a secure, educated step. Be a discerning step into your future. So moving here, you're the kind of guy, Peter, you make good friends easily. Yes, he does. You magnetize these cool people to you. Yep, you do. So here's what I want to say. I want to say thank you for letting me share the message. I had a completely different message this morning until I woke up and I was like, now, how did our stock market get to 30,000? And I looked up the GDP just in case it jumped up again. And it dropped 32.9%. And I think it was August that it fell. And we keep it collapsing. And, this COVID thing, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have a feeling we're going to be on lockdown by Christmas time, just simply due to the hospital overwhelm. I mean, they're building makeshift hospitals, kind of like, I don't know, like these MASH unit kind of things. I don't know. I don't actually know what they're called because I'm not a doctor, but they're building more hospitals out here and we're hitting 12 million and we're having huge amounts every day in this country. And as long as that keeps growing, our GDP can't. They're going to lock it down. And so right now they're going to use stimulus to keep everything kind of like breathing. Stimulus right now is like having a air thing because you can't breathe on your own. So you're ventilated. Is that right, Robin? Ventilated, where they stick the tube down you and they're kind of helping you breathe. That's what stimulus is right now. That's what it's like. And so going beyond the antiquated system. Yes, go beyond the antiquated system. Let's see. Everything we are experiencing now is all design. Realize you are a powerful human being. And I want to talk about that. It's all designed, but there are two sides that are designing it. Just because somebody designed this to be your fate doesn't mean it has to be your fate. There are plenty of my friends I know where the doctors have said, you're going to die. And 5 years later, they're like, it's my choice when I die, not yours, sir. So it's like you can create your freedom, protect your freedom, and own your freedom. But freedom comes with work. Going down, hey, Lisa, supposedly we're out of ICU beds in PA, but next week. Woo, that's scary. Let's see. Yes, intubation. Thank you, intubated. Our economy is being intubated now with QE still. Okay, so yes, so true. Thank you. I'm going to pop over here. Think about how the incredible infusion of money would be if assets were secured from the corrupt. Well, I think if assets were secured, because I got to say something. I know we love to vilify the rich. I know we love to vilify those who corrupt, but there are just some people who spend stupidly. And no matter what they do, it's not that they're corrupt. It's that they don't know what to do with their money when it comes in. And so while I love to say corruption is the root of all evil, I don't think it is. I think not understanding the system and not engaging in the system is the root of all evil, because you can free yourself once you know how. It's the know-how. Are there corrupt people? Yes, but you aren't. And you live in one of the countries where you can transcend corruption and move beyond it in such a way that it doesn't reflect or have anything to do with you. It's only when we're stuck in this small place and don't do anything that corruption matters. So I think that even though we shouldn't have to transcend it, because it'd be nice if it just wasn't around, we can still move beyond it. And that I feel optimistic about. I want to tell you all that I feel super grateful for the Coffee Break Show and you guys on it. I learned so much this year from you, more than you will ever know. I mean, I can't even tell you how much I learned from you. And I know every day I get on here to share my message. There are so many of you who add such incredible wisdom to the message. And then that wisdom goes out to the world with your message on it, with your input on it as well. And I don't know who's there to hear that message. I don't know where that message is going. I don't know if the thing you said saved someone's life, but I guarantee you, I think somewhere it has. I don't know if what you've said has made a difference to whom it's made a difference, but I know it has. And I want to let you know I am grateful for your input, for your fan loving being here. And this right here for you loving the Coffee Break Show. I will be back on Friday. I'm going to be celebrating Thanksgiving for Wednesday and Thursday. I'm going to be staying home. I'm going to be staying socially distanced. I have a Zoom Thanksgiving with my family that is going to happen. I am cooking a turkey, and we are going to be online with our families together. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, be safe, be grateful, and I will see you on Friday. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. Mwah! Peace out. See you guys later. Have a great Thanksgiving.